Okay, let's, we're out of executive session. We'll go to the next section of the meeting, which is for the good of the cause. We do have two items. One is the video. I'm just looking for it here. Please. Did everybody have the opportunity or the availability to see the video? No?
No, I look forward to being expressed.
If you go into good of the cause and just click on from Beth G.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm such a. I don't. Where I want to turn that in my thing. Here is what it is. Share screen. Share. Talking. I can't hear.
She's not talking on your shared screen.
Did you click? Did you click here? Do you want me to do it? I got it right here.
Oh my gosh.
Life gets more complicated.
It does.
Do you want me to?
Yes, but I have to make you a host. Okay. I had a problem with this earlier too.
comments by the board members addressing individuals who present during good of the cause. But since the video was directed at the board and regarding the board, I'd like to allow for some board member input if anybody is interested, just briefly if you would. I'd also like to remind the board and also all those watching that the DEI committee is an ad hoc committee under the Board of Education's auspices, and that therefore our first and foremost responsibility is to the school community itself. And in no way are we, as anybody, recommending one priority over the other, but total inclusion of all the groups that we identify as the need or diverse. So, does anybody have anything to say?
I would like to say a few things. Can people hear me or? I watched Miss Guglielmi's video a few times, and I want to thank her for taking the time to create this video and come to the good of the cause, because we rarely ever hear from parents, and it's really important that we do. She's a teacher and a parent, and she's got some great input. But I want to reiterate again that last week when I spoke, it was on behalf of some parents, some community members, a few faculty members. It was in response to questions that they had about the proposed social studies teacher and social justice issues that were relevant to our two school buildings and where we were going from there. And after talking with this group of people, there was somewhat of like, and again, I'm paraphrasing, a hierarchy of needs that they felt that they wanted to hone in on. And primarily, it was a socioeconomic gap in our community, and also some issues with LGBTQ issues in our middle high school with some students that a couple of parents were aware that they were being bullied. I do recall I stated several times that there were many other issues of importance, and at no point did I exclude race. That was not an important issue also. Ms. Guglielmi felt that we focused on socioeconomic issues instead of racial diversity issues, and that it placed the two groups as rivals of obtaining equal treatment, which she claimed is wrong. When I talked about the socioeconomic issues in our district on behalf of this group, it's like a fact. We know that there are children that do not have adequate food or adequate clothing, or could be in substandard housing, lacking health care. Those are all things, dental care, those are all things that we know are actually happening today. And our food bank that's overrun with local people, those are things that are concrete and we can say are happening. And I guess when she said that, you know, of equal concern, I got thinking to myself, are there things that I am a board member, am I unaware, or are we unaware that there are actually things in the elementary school in our district, or are there actual racial issues that are taking place in our middle high school that we're unaware of, that we should be addressing? Because that is a great concern. And if there are actual things that are happening that you could put on an equal pedestal with the opportunity gap, then we need to address those because they are very important. So if there's something out there where there's documentation that a child's being bullied because of their race, then we need to know about it and we need to take care of it. She suggested that Board of Education members may be uncomfortable with addressing racism, grappling with the topic, and that it's worth some discomfort. And I just feel, not only for myself, but from the people that I talked with, that if there's anything going on here in our school, the elementary school building or the middle high school building, I can assure you that as a collective group here, we're going to do more than just grapple with the issue. We're going to take care of it and meet it head on and address the issue, address the concerns, come up with a game plan to correct the issue, because we don't want any of our students to be bullied or feel like they're outsiders. I personally believe in our students here. I believe they're a great group of kids. I don't think when they're sitting across from a table at someone that they're thinking about what color skin the student is. I think that they're thinking about, can they play ball with me? Can they be on the ski team with me? I can't wait till I get my phone back at the end of the day so I can text message or Instagram with them. I don't think that within our two buildings that there's this inherent issue of bullying or racism that's taking place. You know, we'd be naive to think, as you will see in Julie Lawrence's letter, that yes, there is probably some in our community, but I don't think it's widespread. I think as a whole, we are good people, and I think we need to focus on that it's not run rampant in our community. I'm just going to end by saying that I thank the diversity, the equity, the inclusion committee. They have a big task in front of them. Everything that they do is important, and I thank them for it. But I'd also just like to offer that we as board members, we're unique. We're our dedicated group of volunteers. We give an abundance of our time. And I know myself personally, I put a lot of energy into this position. I discern greatly over what's going on or what I think might be going on in our district. And I do self-reflect for the good of all of our children here in this district. And I don't think we're missing the mark. And, you know, Rick mentioned last week about kids who are seniors that leave our district and have a culture shock. It's no lie. We're a community. We're 99% white here in Lake Placid, New York. We can bring in 100 consultants. How are we going to change that when these students go off to the city? It's no different than where my business is on the campus of NCCC, where we get all of the students coming up from the inner city every year. They've got a culture shock. Who is going to take care of that back on the streets, back in Manhattan? I don't know. But I do feel like we're a great district. I pray that there's not things going on in the district that we are not aware of, that the diversity committee is aware of, because if there are issues, I think we need to know about it. And again, I appreciate everything they do, and I appreciate them coming forward. Thank you.
Oh, just briefly. It was in the context of hiring a social studies teacher. And I think that was missed was directed at us, you know. So if we had funds, if we had endless amount of resources, we would absolutely put that as a priority. But we have limited resources, and we have to focus on what faces our school district, not what goes on in surrounding districts, not what goes on in the surrounding state. We have a statutory and constitutional duty to what goes on in our community. And I think that was the context, that those two contexts were missed. But I really do appreciate actually having someone come in on the good of the cause and address this. It's too silent from the community on so many important issues, you know, and so I think it's really important, and I'm glad that we actually had some input on this very important issue.
I can take that. The other was a letter, Karen, an email, I'm sorry. Please.
Okay, my microphone's.
To the Lake Placid Central School Board, thank you all so much for your recent thoughtful discussion regarding next year's school budget. As a parent with 2 children enrolled in the district, I watched with interest the discussion on the $25,000 allocated for the social studies department and have been thinking a great deal about this issue ever since. What follows are a few of my thoughts that I hoped could be read during For the Good of the Cause section of tonight's meeting. Social studies teachers carry an extremely heavy burden. They are tasked with providing education on complex, expansive topics, including cultures, cultural identity, geography, social structures, government, power, authority, civics, economics, systems, globalization, etc. There's a link there. Having been a teacher myself, I understand how difficult it is to present such material to students who have differing backgrounds, experiences, families, and political views. However, it is for just this reason that I believe the $25,000 included in the budget for consultant support and continuing education for the Social Studies Department is an essential use of taxpayer dollars. Rather than finding the holes in the curriculum, this consultant can review the curriculum, extracurricular activities, and community opportunities available to our students and assist the staff with utilizing these resources in the most effective way possible. This is work that many of our teachers are already doing, often on their own time, and giving them consultant support can only serve to improve the entire department. Learning is a lifelong process, and I am certain staff can benefit from ongoing education and support as they provide this essential instruction to our students. Additionally, concerns that were expressed during the social studies budget discussion on behalf of community members about our district jumping on the bandwagon with regards to various national movements and social issues causing upheaval in our country. No specifics were given on the potentially offensive social movements, so one was left to guess. I feel compelled to provide the following rebuttal. Our country has indeed been in the midst of massive social upheaval. Much of this centered around race. Hundreds of people participated in the Black Lives Matter march on Main Street this summer. Agree or disagree, this issue is on our doorstep. Racism exists here. It is pervasive and ingrained in much of the culture. Are we hoping to educate informed citizens who have the ability to think critically about complex issues and to empathize with and understand the experiences of others? To look at our history critically in order that we can improve? I hope so. Our students, faculty, and administrators live in an overwhelmingly white area. To pretend that this does not influence the learning and social experience is to bury our heads in the sand. As various board members mentioned, many students who graduate and go on to college or to live in more diverse areas report a kind of culture shock. As I listened to the school board discuss this, it was clear that there is not a consensus on how to improve this issue. A consultant who specializes in this particular field would be an excellent place to start. Rather than avoiding tough discussions on racism, we need to confront them head on. As a wise person once said, when we know better, we do better. And that was from Julie Lawrence.
Okay, thank you for that email. Thank you for reading it, Karen. Let's move on to reports. Budget performance report. Dana?
As you can see from last month's budget performance report, we're still trending where we've been most of the year. So we had unfavorable revenue just on the month for this past month. Expenditures are down as well. So one thing we realize is, I've been saying this for the last few months, is when it comes to this revenue around this time of year, really it's all about timing. Perfect example, we just got $25,000 yesterday, our first allotment for the CARES Act. Just finally came in. So it's about the timing where this is the time of year where we start getting our money from the states through the state aid. So that fluctuates. It's kind of late this year. Usually at this time, I have probably 3/4 of all of our federal money in. And we're sitting at about maybe 50%, just because it took so long on their end to go through the process to approve it. So that's where I see unfavorables around this time of year, but still the projection is, we're still projecting that the revenue is going to be pretty close to what we budgeted, and then our expenses are going to be downward. If you look at the very bottom, we're still trending at about it's around about $800,000 difference between projected revenue and projected expenses. Obviously, as we get close to the end, we look at these things and see where some of the expenses can happen that we weren't necessarily thinking could happen. We've done that in the past years where we say, oh, we had this extra and let's look at a wish list. I just know, just a couple years ago, we spent $100,000 in unspent money for the security cameras. We purchased a Suburban a couple years ago. So things like that we don't normally budget, but when we see that we have a surplus, we look at a list and say, what are some things that we didn't budget, but we really need? We have a truck that's 12 years old, that's been plowing for the last 12 years. It might be a time to purchase a new truck so that we know that's for the next 8-10 years, we have something reliable. We did that 2 years ago. We purchased 3 new trucks, again, from surplus. So that's what we're starting to look at right now with that, so that we can check off some wish list items that we don't then have to build into future budgets. Questions on the budget performance report? Treasury reports, it's, as I jokingly said to Betsy, everything is balanced. Today, that's a nice job of reconciling the books each month. You can see that we still are pretty healthy in terms of our insured cash sweep, still about $14 million at this time of year, where we're about 70% of our expenses have already been done. So we're still looking pretty healthy. We haven't touched any of our restricted reserve accounts, but those are typically something we don't touch anyway. Have about $500,000 an outstanding check, and you can probably guess about $470,000 of that is BOCES in terms of their monthly payments for invoices and all that. But from this point, from this perspective, the Treasury report, things are looking good.
Any questions on performance report or Treasury? Thank you, Dan. Superintendent report.
Okay. Tonight I want to talk about some issues involving state requirements and state testing. Also, I'll mention something about the LEAF grants, our parent seminars, and spring sports. So first, about the state requirements. So the pandemic does continue to impact our state requirements. This month, the state announced that the implementation of the math, science, and English language arts standards, that implementation is being delayed by 1 year. ELA and math are being pushed back to September of 2022. And then the new exams that will test those standards are being pushed back till spring of 2023. And then the science standards and exams are being pushed back to September 2023 with the new exams in 2024. In addition, that's the grade 3 through 8 exams. In addition, the Regents exams are limited this year to only 4 in June and none in August. And those are going to be exempted from diploma requirements. And that would be true for any Regents exam that was originally scheduled to be administered in this June or this August. So in other words, students can meet graduation requirements this year by passing the class in place of passing the Regents exam. Yes.
Roger, so there's no exams this year, like those ELA math exams?
No, there are. As a matter of fact, tomorrow, did I not mention that? Oh, I was about to mention that.
No, I'm sorry. I was just confused. When you were saying like 20, 22, 23, I thought, oh, we're
Right, so
skipping.
those are the new standards. Okay. So the standards are gradually being put into place, but now they're being pushed back. The current standards, however, are being tested, and that's actually true right now. So some testing is still required, and that actually happens tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll be administering the New York State English Language Arts exam to students in grades 3 through 8. Now, because of the pandemic, last year these exams were canceled. This year the exam is limited to 1 day, 1 session, and that's just tomorrow. They're also a little bit shorter because typically they include field testing questions, and those have been removed. So the entire state exam in English language arts will be a 60 to 90 minute exam tomorrow in these grades. The tests can only be administered in person, so remote students aren't able to participate. It should be noted also that New York State did ask to cancel these exams like last year, but the request for a waiver was denied in Washington, D.C. So the tests are required by federal law. But the results are only going to be used this year to measure student learning, to inform teachers, to help schools understand how students are doing, and to let families know about their students' progress. The results will not be used for school accountability measures or for teacher evaluation programs. And then no schools are going to be penalized by test results. So that's true for all of the grade 3 through 8 exams. Math and science tests are also going to be administered later this spring. And then the Regents exams, as I mentioned before, the 4 Regents exams will be administered as well. And those 4 exams are algebra, English, and then the 2 science exams, living environment and earth science. Again, what this does is it meets the bare minimum requirements established by federal law. And as I mentioned before, the individual student graduation requirements are being adjusted for students this year. You got all that? So that's the state exams. It's a little bit complicated, but yes, but it won't be held against you. Okay. So moving on, closer to home, we did receive good news last week from the first round of the LEAF grants in the community. If you don't know what the LEAF grants are, those are grants that are funded by a bed tax. And so it's a pretty healthy fund that is meant to stay within the community. So it did, and it helped our schools as well. The fund awarded $50,000 to our elementary school playgrounds improvement efforts, and that's going to go towards a major piece of equipment that has been missing in the playground. So that's really good news for our students and really for the community and anyone who brings their kids to our playground. Program. So many thanks to this generous community fund, and many thanks to our hardworking grant writers who took the time and the energy to submit grants for the fund. Next issue is parent seminars. So you might recall we've mentioned the family outreach coordinator position here. That's Tina Clark's role once a week. She's a student support counselor 4 days a week. And this year we expanded it to 5. It's been a budgetary item. We've mentioned it a couple of times. It's also been funded this year through federal grant. So we do have this position of family outreach coordinator. Tina Clark has organized this year a group of parent seminars. So her goal is to build connections with families, to offer support to children and families, and provide books and other resources for children. These seminars, which are coming up soon, are entitled, there's 4 of them. One is called The Powers of Positive Parenting. One's called Raising Confident, Competent Children. One's called Raising Resilient Children. And the last one, oh, there's 3, sorry. There are 3, all right. Matter of fact, it's called the Triple Ps. I should have figured that out, right? A lot of the Triple Ps focus on these 17 parenting strategies that focus on developing positive relationships, attitudes, and conduct. And it's intended for parents of children up to 12 years of age. So these seminars are all via Zoom, and they have multiple time slots so that it can fit various schedules for parents. So our families are encouraged to consider participating, and you can find information in the newsletters on how to participate. Last, today is Tuesday. On Monday, spring sports begin. It's been a little bit of a wait. This year it actually matches spring weather, if you don't consider tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay, so spring sports start on Monday. That means our students will have an opportunity to participate in baseball, softball, track, tennis, golf, and lacrosse. So best of luck to all of our athletes and coaches for a great season. And that's everything I have for you tonight. Questions, comments, anybody?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do think it's great that they took advantage of the LEAF grant.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be a high priority because that's just money that's sitting there ready to be used by the community. So I think that's great that they took advantage of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, so
And I live
a
up the
great
street
new-
from the playground, so that's
Yeah, it's
some news.
exciting. The playground's getting new equipment. That's awesome.
yeah.
It's a busy place on the weekends.
Information for the board, prior to the two items we have, there is a letter sitting here for me, dated April 20th. It says, "Dear Roger and Board of Education, thank you so much for the card and the recognition of National Library Day. I appreciate your support and dedication to the school libraries. Thank you, Caitlin Patno." And there's a postscript that said this was meant to be an email, but time ran away from me. Also, I prefer handwritten letters, even in the wake of all the wonderful technology we have. So I think that's great. Thank you. Information for the board. We have two reports, the extracurricular activity account report and also the shipment lot memorandum of understanding. I hope you took the opportunity to read that, as our attorney, Bill Kissel, is asking for any input that we may have on that draft. Any comments, questions, anything you would like to add?
I did add a link to the letter to the editor from Genmo that was in the paper today.
Okay. I didn't read the paper today.
It was very nice letter. You could
Was
click on the letter.
If there is nothing else, the next item up is linking goals with agenda items.
I'd like to just mention that just getting the spring sports back on track for the students. I just think that that's probably the highlight of everything right now, is just getting back on track with that. So,
Probably be the only regular, real
yeah,
sporting season.
yeah, no, it's just, that's what's exciting.
Anybody else have anything? I know it's a reach, but community outreach goal number 3 with both the video message and the email, which are both appreciated. Thank you. We won't stall here. If you have anything, please get that to Karen. Other action items, Teacher Appreciation Week, recommended action, motion to recognize May 3rd through 7th, 2021 as Teacher Appreciation Week. May I have a motion, please? Thank you, Colleen. Thank you, Daniel. Any discussion? That's it. There are cards going around, correct?
Yes, I think they're at Liam's desk right now.
Okay. If no discussion, may I have a vote, please? Are we up on
Yeah.
board docs? Okay, please vote on board docs.
There, yes.
Okay.
Oh, Mark isn't.
Right.
So 6 yes.
So six yes, there, no opposition, so the motion passes. National School Nurses Day. Recommended action is to motion to recognize May 5th, 2021 as the National School Nurses Day. May I have a motion, please? Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Joan. Any discussion, comments? I think I really appreciate Roger's follow-up information. I think giving, especially our 2 nurses who have not only done their nursing duties, but also their COVID duties throughout this rather interesting period is greatly appreciated.
I
So
think Elise Stosiak and Cora Clark have gone above and beyond this year. So thanks very much to them.
if there's no further discussion, please vote.
Six yes.
6 yes, 0 no, so the motion passes. The reimagined prom resolution is consent. Approval of the Lake Placid Central Schools 2021-2022 budgets. Recommended action is, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby approves the Lake Placid Central Schools administrative, program, and capital budgets for the 2021-2022 school year, totaling $20,731,143 as presented. May I have a motion to accept this budget?
Yeah.
Thank you, Colleen. I'll need a second, please.
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. Discussion.
So when was the last time there was a 0% tax increase?
Ever?
According to this, it says that this is a first.
That's like amazing.
I think first in recent history. Because I didn't have data going back beyond, I can't remember when, but
It seems kind of odd to have a budget vote. I mean, it seems kind of weird. I mean,
The interesting part is the contingents, like if it happens to fail, the contingents dollar amounts is the same.
oh, okay.
Mhm.
They're the same because of the 0%
Right.
tax budget.
Well, that's interesting.
Are there any questions on the items that have been detailed 1 through 8? Or any comments that either of you would like to make?
Just an overall comment. I just want to say thank you for all the work that you guys have put into this. That is a lot of numbers.
thanks, Daniel. I'm going to give all the credit to our Assistant Superintendent for Business and Finance, who reacts very quickly when things change, and things change frequently.
Yeah.
So thanks for all your hard work, Dana.
Thank you. I've been through several of these and it seems like they can't get any easier, and they seem to. So this year it was particularly easy. Some important decisions were made, but great backup information. So thank you. Any other discussion? If not, we'll ask you for a vote on the budget approval.
Liam?
I'm a yes for sure.
Colleen? Yep.
Okay.
6 yes.
6 yes, 0 no. So the approval of the budget passes. Board of Cooperative Education Services Administrative Budget 2021-2022. Recommended action, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby adopts the administrative budget for the Board of Cooperative Education Services for the sole supervisory district of Franklin, Essex, and Hamilton counties in the amount of $2,689,225 for the 2021-2022 school year. May I have a motion to approve a motion for this budget item, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Colleen.
Second.
Thank you, Liam. Any discussion? If not, I will ask for your vote.
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, no opposition, so the motion passes. Thank you. Resolution for election to the Board of Cooperative Education Services, Board of Education. Recommended action, be it resolved, the Board of Education casts its votes in the annual election of members of the Franklin, Essex, Hamilton Board of Cooperative Education Services for the person or persons indicated on the attached ballot.
Okay, so we have Dennis Egan from North Bangor, New York.
Need to vote on each one?
Well, we have to, there's 4 different lines.
Okay.
Will you vote on every one of them? We've got no people in the other ones.
Hmm.
Or are we gonna just,
Go ahead and read them, and if anybody has opposition to it.
Okay. Courtney Leonard, Chateauguay, New York. Richard Preston, Lake Placid, New York. Richard Retrosi, Saranac Lake, New York.
So we'll vote on them as a group, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. There's nobody running against those 4, so. There are 4 seats, so. May I have a motion to accept?
Yes. Second.
Thank you, Daniel and Dan. Discussion on?
Thank you, Rick.
They actually says beat me to it. Thank you, Rick.
You're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Baked goods are received, well received.
Oh. Graham?
Yes.
6 yes.
Okay, 6 yes, 0 no, the resolution passes. Special education was on the consent unless there's questions on the May 4th packet. And if not, good of the cause, did we? No good of the cause. Enter the adjournment phase. Next meeting, May 4th, is a budget hearing. Are we going to start early on that meeting or?
The budget hearing?
Yes. Or is it, it's just a hearing, right? There's no presentation?
No, usually there's, are you gonna do, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And
We'll
then
do-
we'll
no,
probably
no.
have a few action items.
Okay, so we'll just keep it at 6:30?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so 6:30 on May 4th. And then the budget vote, along with elections, are on May 18th. May 19th, the board meeting to adopt the budget results, and you can see the rest. Old agenda item. Does anybody have? Or new agenda items? All right, if not, I'll adjourn the meeting. Recommended action is to motion to adjourn the meeting, please.
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. Second.
Yes.
Thank you, Colleen. All in favor?
Aye.
Right. Opposed? Thank you very much. Thanks for your early attention. You can go home and eat dinner now, right?